welcome to the Burnout, where we help teachers and education professionals recharge their purpose, revise their passion, and regain their power. The show where we tackle the problems in education, one solution at a time. I'm your host, Kendria Johnson, and we look forward to helping you beat the burnout. And welcome to another episode of The Burnout. I am your host, Miss Kendria Johnson. I am your teacher coach. I make good teachers great by bringing them out of burnout back into a balanced life. And on today's episode, I have a young lady I just met, and we're going to find out more about her in a minute. Kais Wright. Miss Kais Wright is an educator and an educational consultant, similar to myself. And she's going to talk about her take on what burnout means and all the things that the great things that she is doing in the world. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Miss Kais,
Thank
how
you
are
so
you?
much.
Or Miss Wright? Miss
I
Wright, how
am
are you?
great. I am great. You can call me Kais. I hate the formalities, please.
We off work. We off the clock. It's okay.
Right.
Well, tell us about
Absolutely.
what you do, where you're from,
All right.
and how
I'm
long you've been
originally
doing
from,
it.
okay, great. I'm originally from New Jersey. I
Okay.
currently reside in Chicago, Illinois. I've been
Okay.
here almost 2 years. I've done a little bit of everything in my 22 years in the classroom. I've taught from grades 3 to 8. My joy, my passion really comes from in the area of literacy.
Okay.
Although being an elementary school teacher, you have to teach everything, but my passion is certainly literacy.
Mm-hmm.
I also am an educational consultant with a focus on parental engagement, supporting parents. Um, as we gather ourselves again, I'm going to say post pandemic,
Yes.
to deal with some of the stuff that they're dealing with, and just supporting their students, mostly in literacy. Like, how do I get my kid to pick up a book? And so what happened for me is I spent 2 years in Beijing, China, and I was there during the pandemic. Almost didn't get out.
Oh, wow.
And so what I decided to do, or I should say, once I returned to the States in 2020, my phone was blowing up. It was blowing up like, oh, we need you to come help. Can you do this? Can you tutor my child? Can you work in this pod? Like, the demand was insane, because of course I had already been going through this in China, for months, and it was relatively new by the time I got back. People were just trying to figure it out. And so I found that I said, okay, I can't be in all these places at one time. How do I help people? So it took me a little while once I relocated, but I decided to start my educational consulting business with the idea, or the focus being, supporting parents and getting the kids back to just picking up a book. Just picking up a book, okay? Because of course they're at home, they have a lot of leisure time, all kinds of things. And certainly that time where the children were at home and not in school, parents got to see a lot. They got to learn a lot of what they thought they knew and didn't know about their children, their habits. So again, I think, COVID has really reshaped a lot of things, particularly our social, emotional, thought process, the way we see ourselves as educators, the way we see parents, the way parents see themselves. Like, it just has had this enormous trickle down effect on homes, communities, the school, the village, the whole nine. So that's why I thought it was necessary to start the business. And what I want to do, and prayerfully I will be stepping out of the classroom to do this full time soon, is to get into schools, go into community groups, and say, and I wrote a little book to help parents, like, do these little 5 things. Just try this. Turn the captions onto the TV and let them, get the closed captions, the words, as they're looking at the stupid boxes, my mother would call it. There's just simple things to empower parents, because they tend to think, or at least COVID has demonstrated to them, that, oh, I don't know how to do this, or I don't have the power to do this, or my educational, background doesn't look like yours. It doesn't have to. I think anything you do every day becomes a habit, or frequently becomes a habit. And we need to allow parents back in the schoolhouse, figuratively and literally, to get back to supporting us as we try to support their scholars. It is not a one-man show. So I think that's where my passion is. And I think it's absolutely necessary. To get to your point about burnout, certainly. certainly COVID has put, let me go back a second. There are a lot of things going on in education and with our children prior to COVID.
Yes.
COVID exacerbated that, to be clear.
To be fair.
Yeah, right. To be fair, it exacerbated that again. We know now more than we probably knew about some of the children and their habits and all of that. So my thought is that the burnout comes when one person, one of the stakeholders, is investing more, giving more, doing more, and the others are not doing as much, or they don't think what it is that we're going through, and all of us are suffering some sort of trauma as a result of that. They assume that, oh, they got it. You got it, no problem. You're the one with the experience. That's why I send them to you. This is a collaborative. It is not successful. Education, our students, our scholars will never be as successful as we need them to be if we keep thinking only one person is in charge of that or is responsible for that. So the burnout happens because people have tuned out. People are tired. And I know that COVID has just made that absolute worse. How do we address that? We really do. We talk about social emotional curriculums for children and investing in getting them together, because of course, if those needs are not met, there's no learning at all. You can be teaching them reading, writing, arithmetic, all day, and if those things are really not addressed, and now we have to address them differently because of COVID. They don't learn, right? But of course, on the other side is we, the folks who have to take care of them. We have to nurture them, so we need the nurturing too.
Right.
So we need admins, we need folks who are tuned into their staff, to the culture and the climate of their buildings, to stop and say, you know what? All right, we need a break from this. Let me have my staff, suggest the PDs that they want that will benefit them. Let me have my staff do the survey so we can find out from them firsthand what it is they feel is most important and what will be most valuable. We appreciate being heard. We appreciate being valued. One of the gifts that we got this year, and I'll say this, I love the culture and climate of my building in terms of staff. At this juncture of my career, I need the people to be all the way together when it comes to us adults. Because the children will be children, teaching overseas, teaching in Maryland, teaching in New Jersey. I know children are the same practically everywhere.
Right.
One of the gifts they gave us this year is for the month of May, Teacher Appreciation Week turned into a month, no staff meetings. Oh my God.
How hard was that? How hard was that? I'm hollering, sorry. How hard was that? Can you put it on TV and make it scroll around as break it?
Yes. So on in my school, every Wednesday, the kids go home at 1:00. I'm in a charter school. So on Wednesdays, they go home at 1:00, and we usually do PDs. And sometimes they run the 2 hours, and sometimes they run, hour and a half. And that's always been pretty decent, but only on Wednesdays. For the month of May, she said, no PDs. And so it's just the little things. It's just the little things.
Well, you said a mouthful. You just said a mouthful, and I love all of it. I'm so glad I met you. I'm so glad I met you. Thank you, universe, for making me attracted to the right people. But you said something about some tips that you give the parents, that parents experience burnout as well. Now, I've had that experience being, in conversations, being on summits, being on other podcasts, speaking to people, especially when we're on lockdown. They had the burnout for the same reasons we do. They were expected to do all of these things that we were, that was spread out amongst all their teachers, or spread out amongst all these people that were helping them, those stakeholders you were talking about. And now they saw all of that work that we were putting into your one child, and we got a slew of them. You got one or two. We got a whole slew of them in our classroom that we have to cater to and make sure that this one can read or this one can't read on that level. So let's help him with that. Well, let's pair him with somebody who can read. And so those things came into light with the pandemic. I want you to speak on some tips, and I'm going to post these tips with you with this interview. Give us some tips of some parents that might be watching to help them either maybe avoid some of those pitfalls or help them maybe if they're experiencing something. Let's call it stress. Let's not call it burnout. Because I don't know if you can get burnout on your own kids because they're yours. I leave with you. At the end of the day, they get on my nerves and I get burned out. But they go home with you. See, they're your kids. So I'm going to say stress. Help them to deal with some stress. Give them some tips. I'll let you go ahead and finish that. Thank you, Ms.
Absolutely. Oh, no problem. So I think, in terms of let's say the literacy component, right? I think sometimes, we tell our kids, all right, go in there and you're going to read for 15 minutes. Go, and I'll come check on you. No. Okay. And then when you find out the child is going to have a quiz or a test on that very thing that you sent them to read, that you find out that they haven't done it, you know. So I think if we stop sort of giving it all to people, the kids, the teachers, we need to get involved. We need to stay attached. We need to stay present. So parents, I'm encouraging you to sit down 15, 20 minutes and read with your child. 15, 20 minutes every day, read with your child. Even if it's right after dinner at that dinner table, say, okay, it's before you get dessert, we're going to do this. Like, you have to make time to do these things, because you can't keep assuming that you're doing it. Never mind doing it well, because that would be a whole nother book for me, and that one is coming. But I just, want parents to get reattached to this process, being involved, right? So read with your child. If they don't see you doing it, they see no value in it. They won't do it. They'll say, well, I don't see you reading. It just won't happen. So I would say that's a gift, because not only are you reconnecting, rebuilding, bonding, they see value in, wow, this matters to them, and they like to do this with me. Let them pick out a book that they absolutely love. And even if they can't, make meaning of it or read it themselves, you read it out loud. It is a way to really bring the families back together again, and bring them back to literacy, and what good literacy skills or strategies sound like. Do the voices of the characters, make it fun, make it engaging. Those are some things that I say in my book. Like, you got to make it, even create contests. Like, okay, how many books we gonna read this month? Make it fun. Get a sticker chart, give them stickers. Say, okay, if we read so many books by the end of this month, you're gonna get this thing, this prize, or whatever, this outing. So I just think that kids do very well with rewards.
Yes.
And granted, I'm not suggesting that we should be doing this all the time, but we got to climb out of this hole that we've been in. And there's you got to make it creative, you got to make it enticing. And I understand that sometimes parents also have their literacy shortcomings. So audiobooks is another thing that I suggest, listening. And our children have gotten away from sitting down, being still, and listening. There's a lot of noise going on. Sometimes it's in the household because of situations there. Sometimes it's just because they got siblings, they got, like, all this stuff is always going on. 15 to 20 minutes of quiet, either with an audiobook or just listening to you, or it doesn't have to be the parent. It can be the grandparent. When I say parents, I usually it's the community,
yes,
aunties,
yes.
uncles. It could be
Anybody,
a big sister, little sister. They need to hear what reading sounds like.
Absolutely. I love all of that what you said.
Even know what you're after, but you're getting the thing that you're after without them really knowing it. And it's like, oh, fun. Can we do that again? And that's what'll happen, is that they'll take ownership of the learning. And I agree with you. Have them read out loud to you, because then you'll get to hear some of that, phonemic awareness, miscues, and you could say, okay, sound it out. Okay, what letters do you see? Oh, do you know the meaning of that word? What little word do you see inside that might look familiar? Okay, all right, good. So if you know what the meaning of that word is, let's read this sentence again, and let's see if we can really capture what it means. So there are lots of things. My point really is, parents often think they can't do it because they don't know how to. That's number one.
That's it.
I want to reshape their thinking. And I also want parents to understand that you don't have to spend money to do it.
Sure
you can do it for free or cheap, and all it requires is your time. That's it. That it's really the thing that parents have gotten away from because of COVID, or prior to COVID, or just past COVID. Is just like, they don't know how. They've never done it, or they just like, no, that's the teacher's job. No, ma'am, no, sir. It is not. It's all of our jobs. And I want to encourage parents to start to reshape their thinking. And if this year, our first full year back in school here in the States, without interruptions, without putting whole classes out, if this didn't teach you something, I don't know what else could. Like, now you're seeing it. Now you're seeing it. Now we're getting the results of tests back, and it's like, oh, they didn't do as well. Okay. We are in recovery mode. This is the first recovery year, and we're going to go be doing this for another 2-3 years easily. So stand by. So we need to start doing the work now, because it's not going to get better if we don't help it.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. Now, as we close, Ms. Wright or Kais, tell us first off how we can get a hold of you. Where's your book? Give me every tag you can give me in the next 30 seconds, and then go ahead and give me your closing thoughts. What do you want to leave with the audience? Because burnout, as we learned is on this episode, that burnout does just affect us. Because stress
Right.
trickles down, y'all. It does. If we're stressed, the teachers are stressed, parents are stressed, probably the kids are stressed too. So that stress, let's not deal with, turns into something else. And that's all we're here to say. That's all we're here talking about here, and how to make things easier for you. But tell us how to get in contact with you, and give us some closing thoughts, maybe some more tips for
Sure.
parents.
Okay. Well, how to get a hold of me? Kai's Kaz Wright. I am on Facebook. The business page is K Monica Consulting on Facebook. I'm on Instagram under the same name, K Monica Consulting. The book is on Amazon. I do have some copies here, so if people would like a personalized signed copy, I'll show you cover it. It looks like this. I don't know if you
Put
can
it
see
all
it
the
now.
way in there. Put it all the way in the camera, I think. All the way.
Okay.
No,
Yeah,
no, it's not
yeah,
doing.
it's
I'll
not
get it. I'll
showing
get
it.
a copy. I'll get a
Okay,
copy
so
for you.
yeah, so here it is. Here we go.
There it is.
So
How do I get
it
your
might be
kids to read?
backwards, but
I
it's
can
how
see
do I
it.
get my kid to read? And it also comes in Spanish because I'm clear about some of the populations that I've worked with previously. So I
Go
thought
ahead
enough to
then.
have it done so it's $10 for a copy, and there's an ebook on Amazon as well. So if you prefer that, you can. And I wrote it with parents in mind. It's short and it's sweet and it's simple. It does not, like, I didn't do it in teacher speak. I had teachers look at it to say, okay, yeah, I think that is good. I was like, yes. So it's short and sweet. And here's the thing, I don't want parents to go out and get it and go, okay, I tried everything. No, you try one for a while. Make yourself some notes. My workshops will be like, okay, here's a workbook, write your notes, and then you have a living document where you can have authentic, informed conversations with your child's teacher to say, this is what is happening now at home, or, he's struggling with this, so how do we combat that? I'm trying to give parents back some of their power as well.
Right.
So my closing thoughts about burnout is that if we all take a little bit of the load, we can avoid some of the stress. The children are stressed too. So we haven't even really touched base on their stress, so they push back and they go, no, I don't want to do that because, I'm not, up for it. Well, we have to rebuild their confidence as well. Teachers, we need to take a break. We need administrators to see that we need a break and to reshape, the demands. Do we really need to do that? Do we need all these PDs? Can we, rather than you dumping on us what you think we need, give us what we want or what we say we need. And parents, we need you to feel far more confident than you do. Now is the time to take action, to get involved, and to restore the faith in the school and in your own ability, so we can all support a healthy, well-rounded, growing child, socially, emotionally, all of it.
Well, bravo. Bravo, Miss Wright. If you can't hear it, that's my audience clapping for you, because you said a mouthful. But they can always replay it over and over and over again, so they can get all those tidbits. And I'm going to put some of those key points that you mentioned earlier inside of this episode so people can write those things down, because I am a school teacher by heart, by nature. I just can't help it. So I believe in making notes, and I believe in applying things that we learn. So that's going to do it for us this evening. I appreciate everybody's time. Remember that the Burnout is a place where we help teachers rebuild their purpose, revive their passion, and regain their power. Until next time, thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye now.